All right, ladies and gents, who is pumped for this year of 2026 in Formula One? Oh man, there's been so many changes and it's so hard to get a pulse on it really at the moment. It truly is, lads, because even if I was racing at the moment myself, you still wouldn't know what the other teams are up to, right? Like, yes, these power units, everybody's going on with the power units at the moment. We'll get into it more now in a minute. But the thing is, even if I was racing right now, let's say, yeah, we'd all have new power units, okay? It's the shakedown test week 1. Now, even at the track, there's only one place you can look for information, is from your engineer and your own gut feeling and feel of the car when you're out there. And then you obviously communicate back to your engineer, then you develop things, improvements, hopefully, job done. And that's how it should be. But the thing is, you're not going to know what the other teams are up to. You don't know if they're holding back, if they're pushing. Will they develop something out of nowhere like McLaren did only a few years ago, right? They were nowhere, bang, literally click of a switch, they were up in the top 2 or 3. So, you know, every year around this time, like Formula One kind of comes back and the shakedown, and, you know, there's a few blurry lap times out there, a timing screen that, you know, suddenly kind of becomes the center of attention, like Mercedes, sorry, not McLaren. Mercedes were up there now at the top, right? They're looking like they're on the ball, but we don't know yet, lads. People are holding their cards back.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front, what a move from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Now, the important thing to say, lads, is that pre-season lap times, especially in the shakedown weeks, it doesn't give you a clear picture of the performance yet. It's not because the teams are hiding things in a dramatic way. It's just the nature of the beast. You don't show things. But because those early runs simply aren't designed to answer the question everybody wants answered, who's fastest? Now, lads, I could be very, very wrong here, okay? We might have Mercedes, George Russell and Antonelli. They might be kicking ass this year. We just don't know yet. That's the whole thing. And I would be gobsmacked if Toto Wolff actually decided to put all the chips on the table, or show the cards, should I say. You know, I'd be stunned if he did that. Because the shakedown week, it's not performance. What would you call it? It's preparation. That's what it is. Preparation. And systems being checked, components checked, everything. Engineers, learning how the car is behaving, okay? And getting the feedback from the driver. And you see, that's the thing as well, is that whether you've got a wind tunnel or not, I mean, I've said this so many times before, you could have the greatest car ever produced in a wind tunnel, okay? You can put it on your sim in the factory. Everything is just unbelievable, all right? And the moment it hits the tarmac, it goes to shit. We'll say it. It goes to shit. And that's what can happen. Like, what we're seeing in the stage is preparation, right? And instead of asking who topped the timesheets, I think the better question is, what are the teams learning and who's holding back? 2026 regulations, lads, represents definitely, without doubt, one of the biggest changes ever in rules, and it's very exciting for us. You know, we can see the front wing now and the back wing opening up when they press that, let's call it the DRS button, right? I know they've literally, quote, cancelled DRS, and you can use it now at any stage you want. So it's even better, right? It's almost like an upgraded DRS, which is cool for us. Will it have any advantages? Now, the power in the power unit is tricky, because the more, well, how would I explain this? The higher the top speed, the more the battery goes down. If you start to slow down, the battery starts to recharge. Now, the thing is, if you're going flat out and you're trying to really get the guy in front of you, you're draining the car. So therefore, when you press that DRS turbo boost button, you're going to have nothing in the tank. So you've got to have that fine line. So there's still going to be that sort of grey area. And I hope I'm wrong. Believe me, I hope I'm bloody wrong here. And they actually figure out a way to get through that, right? And to get that charge back up again. And I think that's the real winner here this year, is that if they can figure out a way that the battery does not drain as much as it should, and they can get back on that turbo boost again, they'll win. And I think that is the key to the chocolate factory this year, lads. And I think the likes of Adrian Newey, this guy, he'll be not looking for performance. He'll be looking for, what can I minimize? And if he minimizes the drain in that battery, and guys, we're even talking like 2, 3, fucking 5% max, right? Even 1%, 2% less draining on that power unit, the better they're going to be. And, engineers are asking questions like, how does electrical deployment feel when the grip is low, right? How does the car behave when the aero state changes mid-lap? And not only that, you've also got quicker cars now in 2026 versus less grip, right? The car is not as wide anymore, so the load, the wheel balance, the whole center of gravity is not off, but I'm trying to explain it in English. What would I say? It's just going to be not as grippy anymore. That's it. It's just not going to be as grippy. And that's very cool, because in a way, the best way to explain it would be kind of like having, if you're doing a dance, okay? You can do, in the first part of your dance, you're doing the Michael Jackson moonwalk, right? And then you've got to shift into, hip hop or bending your knees and all that crap, right? And yet it's almost like having a dancer that can do the moonwalk, but then the moment he has to do the hip hop bending of the knees and this and that, whatever, he's all over the place, right? He doesn't get it. Everything's got to be in sync, right? So that's what they're looking for. Now, I'm not saying that the drivers are like that, but what I'm saying is that that's the balance that you need to have. You need to be able to go from the moonwalk straight into your whatever, hip-hop, blah, 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 all right? So it has to be all one rhythm, all one dance, and that's the whole point of these cars now. So they've got more power, less grip, so I think in a way that's going to favor us when we're watching, hopefully anyway. And what you're going to see here is probably, I hope I'm right about this, is that a lot of the championships are won because the car got the grip, right? In other words, it's not all about engine speed, engine power. If that was the case, Ferrari would be 20 times world champion at this stage. You've got to have the balance. You've got to have the right engine speed with the right balance on the car. And that's what they're going to be struggling, I think, with in the next couple of months. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what makes it juicy for us. Now, I want to talk about Lewis Hamilton, actually. A very interesting quote he said the other day, lads, right? Is that he said that he's never been comfortable in a car. And he said the more uncomfortable you are, the quicker you'll go. Right now, he's obviously he's talking about himself. He's not, speaking for the whole racing world itself. But what he really meant to say is that, and it reminded me when he said it, is that I would say 95 to 98% of the time is that when you get into a racing car, the stiffer the car is, the quicker the car is. In fact, in many ways, what he's saying, the more uncomfortable the car is, the quicker it probably is. Now, what he's really saying is, he's saying that he is uncomfortable in the car. But really, you can have a situation as a driver where in an uncomfortable car, you can be comfortable in the uncomfortable car, if you get what I mean. And like even Ayrton Senna, He even stated at one time where he was going around Monaco and he was, I think, 2 seconds a lap quicker than Alain Prost. And Alain Prost is one of the greats of all time. I mean, just unbelievable. 2 seconds. And he even said he had an outer body experience. Okay? He literally saw himself from the outside. Now, maybe some of you can relate to this, what I'm talking about here. He said that outer body experience, he just saw himself on autopilot. He didn't even feel anything. Everything was just numb, right? And to be to that stage, you need to be comfortable. Like Senna wasn't stressed, wound up, right? There's no way you're going to get into that sort of Zen-like mind frame if you're stressed and worked up. And so I think that's what Hamilton's message probably maybe came along or a bit came across wrong, or maybe the journalist actually said it wrong, right? But that's what he means, because you need to get comfortable in a car like this, okay? The car might be uncomfortable, but you still have the confidence to know that if this car is so stiff and it's so on the edge, because a lot of the time with the 95 to 98% of the time, if the car is uncomfortable, chances are, yeah, like we said, it's quick, it's not unreliable or not unpredictable. 1 mile an hour over the limit could send you into the gravel trap or the tire wall, or even your death. Sounds very intense to say, but it can be true. But if you get comfortable in that unpredictability, it can work in your favor. Now, I always talk about Ayrton Senna is the greatest of all time. He is. Michael Schumacher, however, he was the king at nervous cars, because guys, with the suspension on a racing car or even your normal road car, right? You know, if you go over a bump, you can feel the car bouncing up and down. That's the softness in the car absorbing the impact, so therefore it's a more comfortable ride. Now, imagine the suspension is rock solid stiff. Schumacher was the king, the god of stiff cars. Unbelievable, the control he had with stiff cars. And that's where he went with, and he was a master at setting up a car. And he always went for the stiff car. He was comfortable in an uncomfortable car. So let's get back to the scenario here, lads. We've got Bahrain coming up in a few weeks. Man, it didn't take long for this whole year to come around, eh? My God, lads. My God. And Bahrain, they're not going to pull down their pants and show everybody what they've got yet. I think you'll still see some people in Bahrain hold just a little back. Or what you could see is a scenario where, let's just go with an example. Verstappen, okay? Let's just say he drills it, right? He nails the whole practice in Bahrain coming up in a few weeks. You still have to have the race pace. So, can we take anything from the shakedown? No. Can we take anything from Bahrain coming up in a few weeks? No. It'll give us more of an idea, yes. But we still have to be grounded, and we still have to just remember that coming up in Australia, round 1, is where they all pull their trousers down and see what they have. And that is so true. Christian Horner even said that before. It was a great saying by him. So where does this leave us? Barcelona, okay, it was the opening chapter. Yeah, but it ain't the conclusion, lads. Early testing kind of gives a bit of insight, information, yes. Australia will give us the first hints. Yes, the opening race will add the shape. It'll structure the whole thing for us. The middle of the season will reveal the truth. And when it does, it'll be fascinating, lads. And I think, honestly, if there ever was a year where things get really shook up, I think it's this year. And, you know, I hate saying this, I really do. A lot of the times the Formula One teams find a way through. They find a way to get around something. And I don't mean that in a illegal way. No, I mean this in a completely legal way. You're pushing the envelope. And that's what they need to do. So what we're going to probably see is McLaren up there, Mercedes up there, even though I wouldn't be that confident about them yet. But the thing is with Mercedes, they've been struggling with grip for the last couple of years. Now the fact that the cars are getting narrower, and that's going to kind of work in their favor. I think that, depends unless they've gone for a completely different way now this year, but I don't think so. I think they're using what they have and adapting it into the 2026 car. Lads, I cannot bloody wait for this year. This is going to be one hell of a year. And you know what the lovely thing is? Even though I say McLaren and Mercedes will be up there, even when I say it, I can't predict. Well, anyway, lads. Ciao.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front. What a move from fifth all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh.